September 4th, 2023, Jonathan Rea's contract was terminated. The rider who'd won 6 consecutive World Superbike Championships for Kawasaki, who'd racked up 119 race wins and rewritten every record in the book, was walking away a year early. He wasn't retiring. He was joining Yamaha, the manufacturer that had beaten Kawasaki just twice in 35 years, but now promised him a path back to the top. Within months, it became clear something had gone terribly wrong. Rea, the most dominant rider in WorldSBK history, managed just one podium in his entire first season on the Yamaha R1. The bike that had won the championship in 2021 with Toprak Razgatlıoğlu couldn't put the greatest rider of all time on the podium. Yamaha slipped from 2nd to 4th in the manufacturer's championship. Behind the scenes, engineers scrambled. Investments in time, effort, and money poured into development. But the gap to Ducati and BMW only widened. This is the story of how Yamaha won their first World Superbike title in 2009, failed to capitalize on it, watched Kawasaki build an unprecedented dynasty, briefly reclaimed glory in 2021, and then bet everything on signing the greatest rider in history, only to discover that champions can't win without the right machine. In 1955, Yamaha Motor Company was spun off from Yamaha Corporation in Iwata, Japan. Their first product was the YA1, a 125 cubic centimeter motorcycle that was essentially a copy of the German DKWRT 125. But from the beginning, Yamaha's DNA was competition. The YA1 won the 125 cubic centimeter class in the Mount Fuji ascent in its debut year and swept the podium in the All-Japan Autobike Endurance Road Race. Racing wasn't marketing for Yamaha. It was their reason for existing. Early success set the tone for everything that followed. By the 1970s and 80s, Yamaha was winning Grand Prix World Championships with riders like Giacomo Agostini, Kenny Roberts, Eddie Lawson, and Wayne Rainey. But when the Superbike World Championship launched in 1988, Yamaha was conspicuously absent. The series was designed for modified versions of production road bikes. For years, the formula allowed 1,000 cubic centimeters V-twin engines from Ducati and later Aprilia to compete against 750 cubic centimeters 4-cylinder engines from Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki. Honda dominated early with the RC30. Then Ducati took over. By the mid-2000s, the Italian manufacturer had turned WorldSBK into a showcase for their V-twin superbikes. Yamaha had sporadic entries, mostly through satellite teams, but never committed a factory effort. Their focus
wasn't an
was
easy
MotoGP,
decision.
the pinnacle
I've loved
of
my time in
motorcycle
World
racing,
SBK,
where they were
but it's
winning
time for a new
championships with
chapter.
Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Superbikes were someone else's problem. But in 2008, the financial crisis hit. Manufacturers started cutting budgets. Kawasaki withdrew from MotoGP entirely after the 2008 season. Honda and Suzuki scaled back. Yamaha, facing mounting losses, needed to make a choice. Continue bleeding money in MotoGP's arms race or pivot to a series where production-based bikes could generate actual sales. In October 2008, Yamaha made their move. They announced they would enter the 2009 Superbike World Championship with a factory team. The bike would be the all-new YZF-R1, the first production motorcycle with a cross-plane crankshaft. The rider would be Ben Spies, a 24-year-old American who just won his 3rd consecutive AMA Superbike Championship for Suzuki. Spies had never raced in Europe. He'd never seen most of the circuits on the WorldSBK calendar. But Yamaha believed he was special. On February 22, 2009, Ben Spies won his first World Superbike race. It was his 2nd race ever in the series, at Phillip Island in Australia. He'd crashed out of race 1 while running 3rd, but came back in race 2 to take victory, becoming the first American to win a WorldSBK race since Colin Edwards in 2002. 2 weeks later in Qatar, he won both races and broke the lap record. By May, he'd won 7 consecutive pole positions, breaking a record that had stood since 1991. Spies wasn't just fast. He was rewriting the rulebook. The cross-plane crank R1 had a unique firing order that gave it traction out of corners that the competition couldn't match. Spies adapted to unfamiliar tracks faster than riders who'd been racing there for years, and Yamaha had given him everything he needed. The championship came down to the final round at Portimão, Portugal. Spies arrived with a 15-point lead over Ducati's Noriyuki Haga. In race 1, Spies dominated. Haga crashed. The lead stretched to 21 points. In race 2, Spies only needed 6th place to clinch the title. He rode conservatively, crossed the line in 5th, and became World Superbike champion in his rookie season. Yamaha's first WorldSBK title. Spies' first European championship. The partnership had delivered beyond anyone's expectations. 14 wins in 29 races, 11 pole positions, 462 points, a record-breaking total that put him 14th on the all-time wins list after just one season. But there was a problem. Yamaha hadn't signed Spies to win Superbikes. They'd signed him to prove he belonged in MotoGP. Before the season even ended, Yamaha announced Spies would move to MotoGP in 2010, riding for the Satellite Tech 3 team. He'd get one season to prove himself. If he succeeded, he'd move to the factory team. Spies left WorldSBK as champion. Yamaha lost the only rider who understood how to win on the R1. It seemed like a small mistake at the time. Lose one rider, find another. That's racing. But this wasn't just about losing a rider. It was about losing focus, losing commitment, losing sight of what made them champions in the first place. For the next 5 years, Yamaha would drift. Satellite teams would run R1s without factory support. Results would fade. The championship that seemed like the start of a dynasty became a footnote. And while Yamaha looked away, Kawasaki was preparing something that would change World Superbike forever. In our next episode, we'll see how one manufacturer's complete commitment to WorldSBK created the most dominant run in the series' history. How Jonathan Rea and Kawasaki won 6 consecutive championships. How Yamaha tried desperately to stop them. And how their final attempt to reclaim glory became the greatest failure the sport has ever seen.